When you're a jet all the way from your first cigarette to your last dying day.
They keep going and going.
Stop the bunny, please.
And going and
going. Charles, remote music.
Amazing. How'd you accomplish that?
It actually took a lot of work.
I'm sure.
Yeah. But Charles, we're back in Central Park.
It's a nice place to be. Beautiful day, actually, in the neighborhood. Sunday in the park with Charles, or Sunday in the park with Jason.
That's actually a thing, though, isn't it? Sunday in the park with Charles?
With George.
Oh, well, so close enough. Although, actually, no.
Not even remotely close.
Yes. Now, Charles, we were just visited by the Plagiarizer bunny.
Amazing. I think the Plagiarizer bunny is a Nino.
A nominee in name only, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's this guy. I was thinking you would probably get a strike for this if we did Biden as Goofy. But
that might be okay, you never know.
Doofy.
Charles, we created a special segment on the ride up here that's going to be made available to sponsors of Crowdsource the Truth after the show. Bonus footage. We were looking at this, so we really don't know what this is, though. But
it looks like it's a single-family home, a big one.
I mean, it looks like a kind of a haunted castle here in the middle of
under renovation, I would guess.
But I mean, isn't it interesting? Like,
yeah.
Look, it has owls all over it.
Well, this is one building, and this is the second building.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. This is
you're
one.
right.
In fact, there are three buildings.
Right.
But they're very big.
It's quite interesting, I have to say.
Let's go down this side street here.
Surely. Now, I know you have a lot to discuss with us today, Charles, but there's just a little bit of, I guess, housekeeping you'd call it, that we need to go over, because a lot of people have been emailing me confused where the live broadcasts are. Once again, Crowdsource the Truth has suffered a malicious strike.
Pity.
Yeah, and a lot of people hear me talking about social engineers, and it's kind of vague. I want to be specific because we're learning some more about this strike and possible reasons why it may have arrived. The strike was put on by the National Academy of Television.
The Academy, or by a person?
Well,
on behalf of the Academy.
The president of the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, a guy named Adam Sharp. He's the CEO and president of the thing, and that, for people who don't know, that's the group that awards the Emmys. It's actually quite a powerful position if you think about it, because you know, this guy's father was a newsman with CBS for decades in the 60s and the 70s. And many people are going to recall the Church Committee hearings where William Colby, the director at that time of the CIA, along with George H.W. Bush, revealed many clandestine CIA programs, including Operation Mockingbird, where the CIA admitted that they were paying journalists to manipulate the news. And I don't know if Adam Sharp's father was involved in that, but he was certainly at CBS and ABC right at the time that that stuff was going on. And now, just days after the previous strike was lifted and putting the channel in significant jeopardy, Charles, you know, one more strike and the whole thing will be deleted.
That's not good.
But I mean, it's quite amazing because, you know, there's a time period where if these strikes happen within 90 days, the channel will be deleted. So the question becomes, how did this guy, who's the president of the Emmys, who worked at Twitter for 6 years,
so he's a twit.
And NBC News, yeah, I mean, he's a very sophisticated guy in terms of Twitter analytics and politicians. He's very into politics. He's super pro-Biden. So the question is, was this actually a protection of their copyright, or was it a deliberate strike for malicious purposes, particularly considering I do not believe it is a violation of their copyright. It is a parody of their image. And the Copyright Act expressly protects that. I think it's Section 107. The Digital Millennium Copyright Act also protects it, as does the Constitution. So this guy put the strike in on his personal email account from YouTube. And when I counter-claimed on YouTube, they sent me his email address and said contact him to work it out. he's refused to respond, and he's sent his high-powered Washington, D.C. law firm after me.
Yeah. I think, of course, we're in peak political season here, where the goal is to
Exactly.
put the kibosh on anybody who might be critical of the Biden harlot ticket. I mean, I did want to make sure that I pronounced her name correctly. It's Carmela Harlot.
Yes.
And significant also that she has as a top person on her campaign a former top person at Twitter. They want
Right.
to go.
So, I mean, is Twitter some kind of, they're very connected, Charles. I mean, they know where this stuff is going. So I'm going to be exploring this further, but for people who are watching us live right now, 3 p.m. Eastern, they're watching on Crowdsource the Truth too. And I'm getting a lot of messages from people asking, well, what can we do to help?
Right.
Obviously sponsoring the show by going to subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. It helps in a number of ways in that the more people who are focused on watching the show on those platforms, the less we have to worry about platforms like YouTube taking the show down, and it takes the power out of the hands
Sure.
of possibly unscrupulous people who are doing things for the wrong reasons.
Right.
It also helps make Crowdsource the Truth financially stronger, so hopefully eventually one day I can have actual lawyer to deal with all these lawyers and lawsuits and nonsense that they're bringing against me.
Right. I agree, Jason.
But the one last thing that people
Sure.
can do is that they can share Crowdsource the Truth 2 on YouTube, and people can get the live streams on there as well. So emailing these things out, tweeting them out, thumbs up, like it, share it, even if you've never done that before. It's super important now. They're trying to shut us down.
I agree. So remember I was talking about schools, good schools. Here's a city school. I don't know how good it is, but smack dab in the center of this neighborhood. Pay your even if you don't pay taxes, you can send your kids to the school for free.
What do
you
you
have
mean?
kids.
I thought
Well-
you have to pay taxes.
Well, I mean, if you're poor and you don't pay taxes, you can.
Still go to public school.
Yeah, a
Sure.
pretty good one.
A lot of stuff out of business,
I
Charles.
know, it's just amazing to me. Here we have the bicycles delivering food.
Yeah,
Next
that's
thing you know, we're gonna
Amazon.
have, the first time I went to West Africa, I remember walking down, I walked everywhere in downtown Accra, ACCRA, the capital of Ghana, another vacant one, and you would see peanuts were a big thing that people would sell in Ghana then, and you see these women with stacks of peanuts on top of their heads.
Oh, I've seen that, yeah.
You're walking, in a scarf, like a large amount of this stuff. And one time I saw this woman walking down the side of the road, and a car just went right into her.
Ooh.
Just, I don't know if she survived it. But
Sounds bad.
I mean, that's the direction we're headed. Women walking down, men and women walking down Columbus Avenue with peanuts on top of their heads, and idiots on CNBC and MSNBC saying, look at the progress. The peanut business is really going leaps and bounds, as is the scarf
Well,
business.
I mean, so what do you think about this, Charles? We've got all these tables out on the street, but it doesn't really seem to be. So this is Bellini Restaurant, and there's the interior of it. That's actually kind of a small restaurant, so maybe their street space is.
Well, it could be nice until you think about what's going to happen at night, right? So you got garbage everywhere. You notice the garbage there.
It stinks.
You got rats everywhere. You got food scraps everywhere. And I got to believe it's reasonably dangerous to have bikes going the wrong way, as this guy is,
Yeah.
up. And you're going to get more accidents. And we'll see how long. The idiot Governor Cuomo is talking about maybe he's going to outlaw dancing, and he may shut down outdoor dining.
Will he mandate nipple rings, Charles?
I don't know, he'd probably do. That man is, there ought to be an annual award for the dumbest governor,
Uh-oh.
right?
I detect another strike brewing with Adam Sharp.
Right.
Sorry, I should not refer to him by name, Adam Dull.
Yeah, you are referring to him by name.
He's a public figure, and what
I'm just
he's
saying,
done
Adam
is
Dull.
a false claim. He's trying to suppress our ability to share our First Amendment speech with a concocted claim based on no facts.
Isn't that pronounced verkakta?
Something like that. Facocked.
Verkakta, whatever.
Now, here is a police precinct, Charles. This has become
Yeah, it's standard. You see this everywhere. They block off the entrance to it.
protecting the precinct, but I wonder.
Well, it's
And
kinda
is
like-
Mission Bethel, is that a homeless thing?
I don't know. It's some kind of Christian church, it says. in
But the
Spanish.
mission, I think, usually is like a home for men or
Yeah.
home for women, Holy cow, look at that car. What's going on there?
That's a fixer-upper, Jason.
How did that even happen?
That's, I bet you, Andrew Cuomo was trying to fix that car.
Wow.
That's not a car, that's a jalopy.
But I mean, it's hard to, oh, Charles, look at that.
Q Florist?
Wooden bears.
That's nice.
Nothing wrong with that.
You can stop by and get some rose wine and liquor if you like.
Nah, I'm okay, thanks. But there's been a lot of discussion about how the liquor stores have remained open. And...
Well, they got to remain open because you got to close the churches.
Right, that's
I
what
mean,
people are upset about, is that you can booze up, but
well, how else are you going to worship if you don't have your...
people are going to send me emails about that.
They could send them to me.
But Charles, there's been a ton of stuff that happened
this.
this week. Citibank? What?
No, well, it looked closed, but it's not, I guess. A ton of stuff happened this week, and a ton more is going to happen next week.
But let's break it down.
Okay.
Bannon, people are...
Yeah, let's talk about Bannon for a little bit. So, you know, I think that Steve Bannon is one of the most perceptive political analysts out there. I mean, remembering that he did not have a career in politics. And the first campaign he ever tried to manage was one that seemed to be faltering, you know, the Trump campaign, and lo and behold, Trump won. And so on the one hand, I think that he's very perceptive. In my personal dealings with him, which have been limited, but nonetheless I have had them, numerous dealings,
what just happened?
Be careful, she just fell. It's like I fell.
Oh, she just tripped going up the sidewalk?
Right, just more or less.
I just thought she collapsed right there.
No, she tripped. But she's fine.
All right, yeah. Farmer's market, Charles.
Yeah, so here's another sign. We'll answer your question in a second about Bannon, but here's another sign of progress, right? Instead of having food sold inside stores where people pay rent and you collect taxes on that.
Look at that. You're not allowed to stand now. Wow. All the rules.
You know, now what you get to do is you get to buy your food, which is kept outdoors. You know, I don't see any scarves on those strawberries, you know, any masks on the strawberries.
Nobody's sneezing on the strawberries.
Right, but if there's coronavirus circulating, I mean, who's to think it wouldn't circulate in the air and land on the food, right?
Yes.
So this is progress.
Also, I've noticed all those waiters are handing people food, but they're not wearing gloves.
Why would you do that?
And then when you clear it away, they've got forks and pieces of food on the thing that they're touching.
Yeah. It's
no gloves.
Yeah. So this is my left is the museum of, as my kids used to call it, Nasquil history, natural history.
What kind of history is it?
Nasquil. But it's actually quite a nice building. And remember, we went up here and they were saying they wanted it, what's his name?
Take
Teddy
down the
Roosevelt.
Theodore Roosevelt statue.
Until people now, let's cross the street actually, because
Sure.
we were going to go down 79th. People figured out that it was actually the whole building, not simply the statue, but the whole building is dedicated to Teddy Roosevelt.
Take it down.
In part because a lot of the stuff in there was given by Teddy Roosevelt. You know, it was his collection. Anyway, this actually in 1980, I was almost standing right about here when I told my ex-wife I didn't go to Harvard Business School to live in a slum like this. It's a lot nicer than it was. I mean, back in 1979, 1980, most of these buildings had not been renovated. There certainly weren't these kind of nice high-end shops. There were more delis like that, bodegas and delis.
Yeah.
And if you look up Columbus now, you see it's a lot of tenement buildings. So with slums falling down. And then the occasional nicer building.
The buildings are way lower up here.
Yeah.
Is that zoning stuff?
Probably.
Yeah, somebody would have crushed this and built a huge building by now if they could.
Right.
Didn't de Blasio, that building where Japonica used to be,
I think it's pronounced DeCrazio.
yeah, that building got crushed. That was like a 3 or a 4 story. It was like a Japanese restaurant, a bowling alley above it.
Oh yeah, Bowmore, yeah.
Bowmore Lanes, and then they also made it like some kind of like carnival in there.
Bowmore is where I had my, I think, 8th birthday.
Wow. Yeah, that's sad that that's gone. There was a lot of fun times going on in Baltimore Lanes, but now they crushed it and made some, 30-story apartment building there, and people in the neighborhood, I happen to know, are pissed.
Yeah, those apartments are expensive. So let me answer the Bannon question.
Yeah.
Because we're also headed now towards the homeless hotel, which I have not seen it yet,
Right.
but supposedly it's not good. So we're now on 79th and Columbus. We're about to hang a Roscoe, go right this way, I guess. And so with Bannon, rather than focusing on getting one thing done really well, he flies around the world and does all sorts of things at once.
Right.
So on the one hand, it is certainly possible, Trump referred to him as Sloppy Steve, it's certainly possible that he made a mistake on the foundation filing. And
That indictment was pretty damning, though.
possible, I mean, again, that's the government side, and we haven't seen the other side, and you're
Right.
innocent until proven guilty and all that. But one thing is striking, and our good friend Bob, we won't say his last name, has sent me details that in the most recent year for which figures are available, ended September 30th, 2019, less than 1%, in fact, less than 1/10 of 1% of all charities were audited nationwide.
Wow, why is that?
Because I think people presume in the IRS that they really don't want to catch the Democrats cheating.
And all these charities are run by Democrats.
Right. No, I mean, honestly, I think they presume, or the presumption was in the past, if you're in the business of giving money away, how in the hell can you steal money doing that?
Come on now.
No, I'm just saying that was the presumption. And I would venture to say that the overwhelming majority of charities probably are honestly run. But explain to me how you could report many of the Clinton Foundation, I reported, other people reported the Clinton Foundation to numerous people, the IRS, states, foreign governments, and the Clinton Foundation has been reported, but they're going to only go after the Trump Foundation, the NRA, and now Bannon, right? How do you explain that?
Yeah. I mean, we know how.
Right, and so what was interesting in the case of the NRA, I mean, I think we've done, you and I have done enough work, a lot of other people have done work on the Clinton Foundation. I think anybody with a quarter of a brain, and I would exclude Biden, who's not there yet, anybody with a quarter of a brain would hear the word Clinton Foundation and think fraud, right?
Well,
And
after looking at the evidence, for sure.
And so what happened, again, it happened when Tish James announced the thing on the NRA, which was way over the top.
Have they done anything more with that?
I don't know the latest on it, but when they announced that, instead of NRA trending number 2 on Twitter,
Clinton Foundation.
Clinton
was
Foundation.
true.
So similarly with the Bannon thing, instead of the Steve Bannon trending number 1 on Twitter, it was the Clinton Foundation trending number 1 on Twitter.
See, but these Twitter trends, Charles, there was a whole presentation that I saw from this guy, Adam Dull, who's the president of the Television Academy, where while he was at Twitter, he was speaking to like British Parliament or something, explaining why they need to be on Twitter and how they're tracking the trends in real time.
Right.
So if this guy's so sophisticated and plugged into all these internet trends, is it possible that the things that we're doing are gaining much more traction than we're actually allowed to see, and that they're doing everything under the sun to suppress it?
Of course, I think it's impossible. It's likely. You know, what you've learned, all the tricks in the trade. Your people who subscribe to your channel or unsubscribe.
He's the trick maker, this guy.
Right. Now ahead of us is this hotel, which is not a
Oh yeah, there it is, right there.
not a super fancy hotel. It appears that there's a restaurant next to it, Frenchy restaurant. We're going to be walking right by the hotel. Then I propose we go down Broadway.
Nice Matin.
Yeah. But there have been stories, maybe they're wrong, that there's so many homeless people living in this hotel that they make a mess of the hotel and that they make a mess of the surrounding neighborhood. Now, I don't see that.
Yeah, it seems sort of okay. But it is maybe early? I don't know.
I would guess the people living, maybe that's right, maybe the people, homeless people living in the hotel are at brunch
Sleep
right
late.
now.
Yeah.
What does it say? United against displacement, settle for struggle, no go, rise up net, correct, study, fight. We love all our neighbors.
Love all our neighbors. So this is a tribute, I guess, to this hotel. How's everything going? Hotel good? Neighborhood good? So maybe they've cleaned it up. The Post and the Fox did a lot on this. A week or
Right.
two ago, we had
Stronger
Curtis
together.
Sliwa. That's a Hillary Clinton slogan, isn't it?
I think it's, I need more money to steal is her slogan. Something like that. Nasty girl.
No, Stronger Together, that was her thing, wasn't it?
He's a member of Joe Biden's cabinet.
Yeah, I mean, he's sort of just like freestyling there.
The minister.
How's the neighborhood been? A lot of people are saying this hotel is overrun with homeless people. Are they disrupting the neighborhood?
So far, no case like that.
Everything's good?
Yeah.
Recovery, physical therapy. All right. They got a guard outside the place even though it's closed. That's interesting. I mean, this is a pretty high-end neighborhood,
It
Charles.
was.
Why would they choose that hotel in the middle of a neighborhood like this?
Well, the stories that I read are that there are a bunch of crooked slumlord types own buildings like that, and what the city has been doing has been contracting, it is alleged, with these crooks to take homeless people, and then the city pays the owner of the hotel a lot of money per night for each room. And the question is the rate set at arm's length? Do the people actually inhabit the hotel? And that's the allegation, that the city is paying off political patrons of de Blasio and others. Now, that would also run part and parcel with Andrew Cuomo and his sister. I don't know if Andrew is still in it, but his sister is involved, and Andrew was involved with a large not-for-profit here in New York and in other states that does exactly that takes homeless off the streets and puts them in shelters.
Really?
Yeah, and gets government money to do it, as well as,
I didn't know that.
yeah.
But it also serves the double duty of making people in this neighborhood feel like it's overrun with homeless people and they want to leave.
Exactly. So when you want to go in and you want to go and buy a building for less than it's really worth.
I'm filming myself and now I'm filming you. Do you live in this neighborhood?
Yes, I do.
How's that hotel? Has it been a lot of homeless people?
This is a bad hotel.
Yeah, are there a lot of homeless people disrupting the neighborhood, or is it fine?
It's very complicated. But I think the biggest thing is they don't wear masks. They close. We haven't prepared for them. We really haven't.
Right.
Oh God, I don't want to get into one of those videos. Which organization are you
It's called Crowdsource the Truth on YouTube.
with? Another one. So
Yeah.
now there's 3 of them.
There's probably more than that, but thank you for speaking with us.
Thank you.
I just think it hasn't been addressed properly. We have a homeless problem that's never been addressed in this city.
Right.
And now, this isn't the solution.
Correct.
Yeah.
You gonna stay in New York?
If I could find a way to get out.
Let's get in the shade, Jay.
Take care.
What about you?
In the same boat. Take care. Yeah, the shade is a good idea. Well, that was interesting to get that woman's insights. At first, I thought she didn't want to be filmed, but she seemed to.
She was coy, Jason.
But
But
it's-
that's a Baptist church. I didn't realize there was a Baptist church that's ornate.
It is.
So let's go down Broadway.
I'm
That's
just sort of
okay.
intrigued by people who draw attention to themselves by saying, "Don't film me." Well,
I'm out in public. Don't film me.
right. There's cameras everywhere.
Now,
There's a police car.
This is, I think, one of those. I think this could be the Apthorpe, one of the fancy buildings.
There's 2 cops in there not wearing the masks. So
Of course not.
I like that though because it gives them less kind of
Moral
ammunition.
authority?
Yeah, to be like, "Where's your mask?" And it was like, "I think it's in the same place yours is." You want to check for it? Well, actually, that's maybe not so funny.
Yeah.
Sorry. So Steve Bannon, we were still talking
Yeah.
about.
So Steve, while it is certainly possible that he made errors in his paperwork, and it is certainly possible that he may have made irreverent comments in a private moment on tweeting or on
But there were some
email.
details in there about
Right.
directing funds to places that seem hard to explain.
Right, I agree, and I think if it is true that Bannon or anybody else in any political,
Oh,
let me keep going here, okay?
sorry to interrupt, Charles, but this was a Cuban Chinese restaurant that I've been to many times, and I can't believe it's closed. That thing's been there forever.
Yep. Well, it's still there.
But
So, It's certainly possible that Bannon made an error, but it's so unusual that Tish James and others would jump on these three people right away, whereas they leave a festering, expanding, gigantic. I mean, the Bannon errors, you're talking about $100,000, $300,000.
Yeah, that's right.
For him. And the Clinton Foundation, the
total thing worth $25 million.
Yeah, and the Clinton Foundation, the total revenues, declared revenues, are $3.2 billion. And we think the real number is bigger than that. And this is our 252nd podcast. We've been talking about this. Lots of evidence is in the public domain. Lots of people have been trying to look at this. I personally have tried to push the Attorney General of New York to look at this. I spoke to the Office of the Attorney General in Arkansas. Nothing gets done, but instantly, Bannon, Trump needs to be discredited, so they go after Bannon, so they can right away spin the narrative on CNN and MSN.
Trump knows is a criminal.
Now, wait,
is this another one that's? It is.
Yeah, let's see.
So this looks like people gathering to talk about something.
I just didn't want to be next to the guy.
Now there's Serafina over there. They seem
Serafina's
to be
really
doing all right
expensive.
with their outdoor dining.
Yeah, I think this may also be owned by the same guy who owns Lucerne. We can figure it out.
But the thing is, are these people here in support of the hotel
They're in support.
or against the hotel?
Yeah, they're doing the same stuff as was in front of. Yeah, these are people who like to commit suicide together.
What's going on here, folks? Hi. Yeah, what's going on?
Who are you with?
I'm with Charles. What's going on here?
And who are you, Charles?
We're just walking by. What's going on?
Okay, well, you seem to be reporting something, so I just wanted to check what your affiliation was.
We're just walking down the street making a video on YouTube, but what is it that you guys are doing here?
Well, then take care, and you're welcome to grab chalk and join us if you want to give me your affiliation.
What am I joining if I join you? Can you explain to me what's going on? Ma'am, sorry. You're asking me to is it that's going on? What's going on? What do the sunglasses give away?
Troll.
I'm a troll? Look at you and you're calling me a troll.
I've seen you somewhere.
I
remember you.
YouTube, bro.
I can explain what we're about. Okay?
Please do, yes.
Okay, very quickly. So the chalk is to support the homeless people at the Belle Claire. We just came from Hotel Lucerne.
Yeah, it looked very similar, the writing.
Yeah, it's to support the homeless house for housing, especially during the crisis right now. And to show solidarity not only across homeless people, but all the people who might be facing eviction soon with the upcoming housing crisis.
What do you think about people who have
I'm not really doing an
complaints
interview, but I am
about
answering your question.
heroin?
I'm not really doing an interview, but I did want to answer your question.
Okay,
but what I do think, if you ask me humbly, is that we should invest in social services. The social services that people who get to drug use and to those extreme cases do suffer from extreme poverty. So, quite like the message of Black Lives Matter, I think this protest very much stands with defunding the police in order to invest in social services, which will prevent the sort of crime you're describing.
So do you think when people who live in the neighborhood see everybody doing
it's one way,
heroin
Jason. It's just one way.
and
it's
move
propaganda.
And move out and stop paying taxes, that's going to help the homeless people, or that's going to create a bigger problem because there's going to be no police and there's going to be people moving away because there's massive heroin use and unsavory individuals hanging out who actually aren't getting any help from social services. They're just getting free hotel rooms.
Well, you got to stop. You deconstruct the guy's sentence. I mean, we're for investing. Okay, there's no investing going on here. We already are spending on social services way too much money, and it's not going to the people, the homeless. It's not going to the addicts. It's not going to the really needy. It's going to the bureaucrats and the retirees.
And the guy who runs the hotel.
Right. And
who, when all these people move out of the neighborhood, by the way, is probably best positioned to buy up all their real estate.
Right. And so this, you see the way these people work. They don't want to debate. They're just going to express, are you for us or against us?
Right.
If you're for us, okay, we'll listen.
If
you won't
their
commit,
message and walk away.
If you won't commit to being for us, then we won't even talk to you. And then if we do talk to you, we're only going to tell you our point of view, and you have no opportunity to debate. I mean, that's
they don't want
the
to
intolerant.
learn anything. They don't want to explore any alternate point of view. How do you like the fat, sweaty, bald guy who tells me I look like a troll?
Yeah, it's called projecting.
Yeah, this is a great neighborhood for everybody to support the destruction of the economy in.
Right.
because there's going to be no money for the homeless or anything.
It's called Project Suicide, the Suicide Initiative.
Yeah. I'll tell you, Charles, it's real difficult to remain committed to staying here.
Well, it should be real easy to get committed. That is, to get those people committed. So have we finished on Bannon?
I don't know. It's up to you.
Well, I think we're going to see more pushing, more of people saying, we've had it with this. We're only going to target conservatives. And it was interesting to see Sidney Powell do a special tweet on it, and Tom
This guy's
Fitton
going to back up into
Tom
us.
Fitton do a special tweet, and then to see the volume of retweets instantaneously. So it's
Of
definitely
saying, why are you going after Bannon and not the Clintons?
yeah. I mean, Fitton said something. His tweet was something like, "Bannon arrested, Clinton protected. Please explain."
Yes,
And
yes.
it
I
instantly
saw that.
went. So I go back and refresh people's recollection that the closing video for Donald Trump in 2016, late in October, was about 5 minutes, and a lot of it centered on the Clinton Foundation, corruption, Uranium One, Clinton Global Initiative. I want to say as much as a minute out of 5 minutes was focused on that. And I think people are going to be asking, as I will, and others, it's one thing to say in 2015, 16 that nobody went after the Clinton Foundation, that's suspicious. But how do you explain 2017 to forward? How do you explain after Mueller revealed himself to be the total fraud that he is in 2019? How do you explain 2019 forward?
When did Steve Stockman go to jail?
I'm not sure when he went to jail. Yeah, but Corinne Brown went in 2000, I think, 17.
They let her out. They have not let
For COVID.
Steve Stockman out, and he's been diagnosed with COVID now.
Has he really?
Yeah, Steve Stockman has COVID,
That's amazing. Well, we can go, I guess.
and they still won't let him out.
Huh.
Those guys aren't going.
Yeah, made the mistake of having a sandwich before we went on air. So yeah, we're still in prime territory here. And an ordinary day, 72nd we're coming up on in Broadway. I mean, this would be very expensive real estate and not covered in scaffolding and stores closed and people looking down on their heels.
Sorry to jump around, Charles, but what exactly is the plan, or did they share it with us as far as how placing homeless people just in a hotel is going to rehabilitate them from anything versus just facilitating more drug use and crime? Are they being seen to medically? Are they being
Of course not.
treated for anything,
Of course
trained
not.
for
It's-
any kind of job?
Of course not. This is the classic approach. Let's have a workshop. Let's have a teach-in. Let's have a budget. Let's invest in all the same.
Here's more Islanders guys. What's going
There
on
must
with
be
this?
some playoff game.
Oh wait, it's the same guys,
Really?
isn't it? They
I don't know.
look like some of the same guys.
Here's some entrepreneurs.
Right.
So this is
Oh my God, it stinks right here.
yeah, it's a very beautiful, ordinarily very beautiful part of New York. Iconic subway stop.
Yeah,
We're
72nd.
just north of Lincoln Center. When the city was working, people paid a tremendous amount of money to live around here.
Not anymore.
And instead you get
That was a priceless Steinway.
net anymore.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess,
It's like the outlet store is not doing so well.
no. Yeah. I didn't even know this was here.
It's open, I guess.
Yeah, but probably only one person at a time can go in there. I guess it's probably a good time to go to one of these places because
You-
normally
you
in New
shut-
York they're picked through.
Yeah, you shut the grocery stores, but you have the on-street store, the carts.
Well, the grocery stores are open, really. You just can't go in there without a mask and not too many people at a time.
Yeah. What's this guy gonna do? Face down a truck?
I don't know what's going on up in this neighborhood here, Charles. Wow, what's this line for? Bank?
I don't know. Maybe there's an Apple store or Trader Joe's.
Yeah, that sounds right. Hey, there's the sign, yeah.
Good.
It's funny, there always seems to be a bigger line outside Trader Joe's than Whole Foods.
Who knows? It's a racket.
Maybe they let less people in at a time.
You want to stop by and get you a McDonald's, or you?
No. Thanks, but no. What do we got over there, Charles? That's kind of an interesting building.
Oh, these are just nice old buildings. See, here we have a nice pile of garbage stewing for the rats.
They like it slow roasted.
Yeah, there's city planning.
It just falls off the bone that way.
Melts in your mouth.
I mean, everywhere we go, lots of businesses closed.
Yeah, people sitting on the street
is
charging
that
their phones.
the human variety on the
well
street
be.
there? I think it is. Or a very, very large.
You know, nothing dangerous about that.
Oh, gosh.
See, here's the McDonald's, fine dining.
Is this a
McCafe.
closed pizza place?
That's out.
I'm seeing a lot of closed pizza places, Charles. That's pretty rare.
Another independent entrepreneur on the corner here, next to the garbage pile. I mean, you would think if you wanted a simple job that you could create for people, is you could say, all right, the normal unionized garbage would go that way.
Increase the sanitation department.
Yeah, just have them pick this shit up and take it out of the city on Friday afternoon, Friday evening. Don't leave it to be, you know, on the street for 48 hours in the heat.
But I mean, isn't that a job that perhaps people who are looking for work might be able to be trained to do? I've always understood that the sanitation department pays very well.
I think they do pay very well between the pay, the overtime, the benefits.
So wouldn't it make sense to create some sort of program where homeless people with drug problems go into drug rehab centers,
Right.
people who are down and out on their luck but capable of working get trained for jobs that could help?
Well, I think actually what another way we could do it is we could take the garbage off the streets and deliver it to
the hotels?
No, to corrupt politicians' houses,
Right.
like de Blasio's house. Say, you know, the Disciplining Corrupt Politicians initiative of the Jason Goodman Garbage Foundation.
I saw a segment on Laura Ingraham that...
Another guy.
Yeah, there's really a lot. I saw a segment on Laura Ingraham where some guy running for, I think, Congress in Minneapolis, or somewhere in Minnesota, went to the police union president's house.
Oh, yeah?
And was on a bullhorn, like threatening him in all kinds of ways. And this guy's been endorsed by, you know, I forget who it was that endorsed him, but people who are Democrats in Congress or...
See that Shakespeare and Company?
Yeah.
A shout out to a great bookstore. This store actually has a series of great warehouses where they keep hard to find books.
I think they print them on demand.
And
too.
they also print on demand, and it's a very good service. I've used it myself to find books that Strand didn't have, Barnes & Noble didn't have.
That's only in New York City, right?
I don't know, but I think there are 2 locations, or there used to be 2 locations.
Down by NYU.
Yeah.
So that's the type of unique business that when you lose it, like, you know, what is it that makes New York cool, you know?
The winner.
Well, I mean, you know, there was a time where
That's it now.
47th Street Photo or 42nd Street Photo and B&H and stuff like that were like, oh, you got to go there
John's
to
Pizza.
get the stuff. But nobody really does that anymore. And, you know, unique thrift stores, and there used to be like a billiards shop on 19th Street that was really unique, and a dart store. And,
Great restaurants, Broadway.
yeah, you start losing all that stuff and it just becomes a giant, you know...
Vacant mall.
Yeah, like exactly. You know, what's the place I'm thinking of? Outback Steakhouse and you know,
what's the
Italian
Italian
Garden?
one? Yeah, Olive Garden.
Olive Garden. Like, why do we need that?
Oh, all the breadsticks you can eat.
Yeah, I mean
Right
that's
up your
fine
alley.
if you're at the Mall of America or somewhere where you don't have this kind of density, where you get
Right.
unique individual businesses. But we're losing a lot.
So we talked a little bit about last week. Let's keep going and talk a little bit about the Demon Rat National Non-Convention. Now,
Oh, by the way, the Emmys were virtual this year, and the review of it in Variety made a big deal about how the quality of the call-in guests was not good. So it also causes me to wonder, as, you know, we've discussed this, Charles, you and I, how when I started Crowdsource the Truth, I had identified that a lot of people in independent news had good information and
Right.
good process of going out and finding things and doing things, but most of them were just sort of appearing on screen, head in front of a
Right.
webcam, and it was very visually boring, and I wanted to use some of my motion picture production expertise to make a more kind of modern show that modern viewers are more used to, sort of bridge the gap between
Right.
video podcasting and broadcast. And now, ironically, in 2020, we've seen high-end broadcast come down to the level of video podcasting, and so perhaps we're more directly competing with some of these things
Right.
than I realized.
Well, when you think, this is an Apple store. Interesting.
Oh yeah.
When I think of, the Emmys and really the Academy Awards,
Why do they need such a big store if only 2 people can go in there?
I know.
When you think about the Emmys, sorry.
And the Academy Awards, I used to find them hysterical because of the red carpet, or whatever.
Right.
Is red carpet?
Yep.
So you'd have several flamboyantly gay guys and these beautiful women, 92% plastic, 8% flesh, marvel over the various and sundry directors and actors and producers and all this kind of stuff. And, one person would come in looking weirder than the next. And to me, the low point of that is when, the crescendo of that one year was when Lady Gaga came in dressed in meat.
Yes.
And these are a whole bunch of vegans and whatever. And wow, that's great, she's wearing meat.
Right.
Think of that.
I'm surprised. Isn't she vegan? Like, why would she wear all that meat? What
But,
about?
but still, my understanding, I'm no expert on this, is that when you cook meat, you have to be pretty careful about,
having
you
it
don't want
raw.
to put meat on human flesh for
Too
long
much
periods
bacteria?
of time. I mean, it's just like, and then to have all these.
Was it actual meat she had?
Yes. You have these flamboyantly gay people, men dressed like who knows what, and as I say, the plastic women. Oh, it's fantastic, so insightful. And then you get, the people who are dumber than a box of rocks do some stupid documentary or movie. And he's, oh yeah, this person over here has an IQ of -8. but the documentary was so funny, so insightful, such genius. And it's like complete trash.
But wait a minute, are you sure that Gaga didn't have Zuckerberg smoke those meats before she put them on?
I don't know.
Smoking the meats, that was a video from Zuckerberg.
Oh, is it?
Well, but see what you're describing, Charles, it's a system of control, because
Right.
if someone goes to Hollywood, like, look, there was a time when I was like, yeah, I want to win an Oscar. Someone nominated something I invented for a technical Oscar. I think I've shown you the letter. They were like, nah.
Yeah.
Because the way that thing works is you only win an Oscar if you are in compliance. It has nothing to do with, are you the best actor? Are you the best director? Was this the best thing invented for a 3D camera? It's just, are you, you can't sit with us, is what that's all
Do they
about.
game the People's Choice Awards too? Or is that
It's rigged.
rigged? It's another.
I mean, isn't that what Trump said about it? All those things are rigged. If you're paying money, I mean, look, this guy who we're talking about, he goes from NBC to Twitter to the Emmys to his own political consulting firm where you can pay him for various things. So if you're a reporter who's breaking ground, revealing that, I don't know, the CIA and the NSA are tracking people and using technology to suppress information that they
Right.
don't like, you think that person's going to win an Emmy for that reporting, or you think it's the guy who's reporting on Steve Bannon getting arrested?
Right, exactly. With 100 people out there for that.
And the rest of the reporters see who's getting Emmys and who's not, and so it dictates what's going to be told.
But so back then, just want to say a few things about the convention. I mean, we think about Democrats, and the mystery or the theory of Democrats is they're tolerant, they're populist, they're people-loving. And let's think about the last three presidential cycles. So we'll start with 2011-12. What happened there? Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton were in power. They had massive scandals that they needed to cover up, including that they, in violation of Congress, that they were messing around in Syria. They had, broken the Express law laid down and by Congress. They were, they toppled Benghazi. There's a thriving slave market. They're now going to go in a kinetic, let's stay in the shade and wait,
Sure.
in a kinetic misadventure into Syria in violation. Meanwhile, in 2011, the Clinton Foundation is doing its internal investigation using Simpson Thatcher, likely discovering all kinds of problems, including the fact that Bill was being paid personally by Teneo, a firm that was created, a consulting firm, an investment firm.
I thought he owned it or something.
Well, I don't know if Bill had an ownership stake, but he was getting paid by Teneo. One of his clients was John Corzine, the disgraced former governor and senator from New Jersey, the man who had been getting a windy in a car at like 86 miles an hour or something, and there was an accident.
Whoa.
And as the allegation, but anyway, and he then set up this other, was a CEO of a big investment bank that got in trouble and stole customer money. And that entity was paying Teneo in 2011 while Bill was getting money from Teneo. And so they had to cover that up. They had to cover up Benghazi. They had to cover up a lot of things. And I would argue technically by covering it up and making sure the networks did not, gave Emmys to the people who would shut up and not do this.
Right.
Well, let me cross.
Because also, you don't have to wait for the Emmys. That guy obviously has huge influence in the world of news, television, etc.
So they made sure that people didn't know the truth in 2012. I wrote an article for the Washington Times. I actually got on Fox News because of it, saying the whole narrative was GM's alive and Bin Laden's dead. And my article was GM is dead and Al Qaeda is alive.
Right.
And I actually did get a fair amount of play because of that. But that really was the case in my view in 2012. And had the mainstream press reported on it properly, God forbid we would be ending Mitt Romney's second term. And probably the world would be even worse off than it was under Obama. But so I think the Democrats rigged and crony Republicans rigged 2012. 2015, 2016, absolutely. Before Trump announced, I had my piece in Bryant Park and Fox News saying, with so many red flags, why don't we audit the Clinton Foundation? And we now know from the public record that the Clinton Foundation investigations were quashed. It was, people made a pretense of investigating, but they didn't put the resources behind, and when people got close to smelling the truth, they made sure that the truth was covered up.
I think I can smell the truth right now.
Yeah. And you're not even crowdsourcing it.
It doesn't smell good.
So in 15, 16, in 15, in August of 15, Hillary Clinton's law firm, in the person of Mark Elias, or Elias, however, probably Elias, emphasis on the word lie. Let's keep going on this if it's
I just
okay.
want to hear this song for a second. Is it Fragile? I think it might be.
So in the person of Mark Elias, they do a deal with the National Democratic Committee to funnel a ton of money raised for the National Committee to Hillary Clinton's campaign illegally, and they stifle Bernie, right? And they think they're going to rig. I'm thinking once we get to the bottom of this, if there's ever a real report, we're going to discover internal correspondence amongst Democrats encouraging the idea that Donald Trump will be the nominee, thinking that he would be the easiest to beat.
Again?
In 15, 16.
Oh yeah, no, we know that already.
Right. So they rigged and stole 2012. I won't focus on 14, the midterms. We could talk about that. 15, 16, they definitely.
So another TD bank closed.
Yeah, a lot of branches are being closed around the city, of many banks. So then, they stifle Bernie. And then think about this cycle, 1920. Was there actually a meaningful Democratic primary? There wasn't.
No, not at all.
I mean,
it was just that stupid show.
Had Elizabeth Warren, the fake Native American, had she actually done the honorable thing, something she's never done in her life, and bowed out, Bernie would be the nominee. And
Why
instead,
do you think that?
Because, the real energy is behind Bernie. You see the recent...
But doesn't that not dictate it, that they don't care about the energy, they care about who's part of their crooked team?
Well, let's talk about that for a second. You look at this Rose McGowan. I'm not a huge necessarily fan of her political views. I think she probably may have been a decent actor back in the day, but she is on the actual warpath.
Oh yeah.
Against Biden and against Carmela Harlot.
But is she for Trump? I can't imagine.
No. But the fact, you see, I wonder if people are going to come talk to her and say, listen, you may be 100% right, but what you're doing here is you're guaranteeing that Trump's going to win.
Is
Because-
she that influential?
Very influential, yeah.
Rose McGowan?
Absolutely. Me Too movement and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So I think, we've talked endlessly about Hillary Clinton's 2015-16 campaign, but Barack Obama, was pretty loyal to her, possibly because there's incriminating evidence on Barack Obama.
Blackmail will do that.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, after she lost, said, it may help when campaigning to show up. He said something like that.
No, they solved that for Biden. He doesn't have to go anywhere.
Well, but the audience numbers for the 2020 Demon Rat non-convention, I think the early numbers are down 20% from Hillary.
Wow, which was already bad.
Yeah, and then the Biden campaign has just announced that they're not going to lease a campaign plane.
Saving money.
Well, I mean,
Take the damn track.
I think they're just terrified that Biden will have a 9/11 2016 Hillary Clinton faceplant moment every time he goes out.
I saw an interesting tweet that someone had posted a video that after Biden's DNC speech, they told all the reporters, "Oh, hurry up, you better run outside and see the fireworks." And it literally, a video showed all the reporters running outside, and then apparently there were no fireworks.
Yeah.
So it causes me to wonder, were they exfiltrating decrepit Joe Biden, or replacing the animatronic whatever that was giving the speech?
Right.
Like, that seems strange, doesn't it?
It does indeed. And I'm sure there'll be an excuse at the last minute why he won't debate. I'm not going to get on the same stage with a racist or some crazy thing.
They're like, no, the debate's with Donald Trump. not Kamala Harris.
So where we're headed now, there's another series, if we make it, there are another series of hotels that are now taken over by homeless people on the 46th Street.
All right.
And so we're headed in that direction. Regular viewers will remember our show here in Columbus Circle. Thank you. Idiot.
I guess I spoke too soon. This is a huge line for Whole Foods.
Is it for Whole Foods? Really?
I think. Definitely in this is Whole Foods.
You sure it's not for First Republic Bank?
It could be, or Hugo
No,
Boss.
I'm teasing you. I think in this building, Bill Gates has a very fancy apartment in this building, or used to.
This baby would look good in a bespoke Hugo Boss suit. Oh, it's a dog. Even better. You can't bring your dog into Whole Foods.
Says who?
I don't know, but I
It's
bet
a
you
service
I bet
dog.
you that lady. How is it servicing?
I
It's
may-
stuck in that box. But I'm sure that lady would tell you to put on a mask. But she's
course.
allowed to have her dog in the supermarket.
Yeah.
It's pretty empty around here, Charles.
It is. But do you remember how crowded it was during that Black Lives Matter thing? They haven't dared
Yes.
topple the Columbus. And,
Yeah, I think they've gotten over that. It doesn't seem to be threatened at the moment. That seems a dangerous prospect to just topple that.
I think it would require quite a lot of power to do that.
I bet you if you got a rope around it and enough people pulling from the right angle, leverage would help you.
Wouldn't the rope break?
I think that they had all kinds of advice they were giving people for specifically how to destroy statues, and they had different techniques of acid to put on it and things like that. I don't really know.
Is that Professor Ass Hat teaching that course?
Yeah, that's the guy who devised the recipe.
But so going back to the convention, they have a 90-page platform that's advocating one lunatic idea after another, and then when there was a question, they get John Kasich, which is spelled S-I-C-K actually, because he's sick in the head. They get him up there saying, "I know Joe Biden. I've known him forever. He won't go to the left," which is the crowd is like
you wanna
booing.
go to
Yeah,
the
we
left?
want to go down Broadway.
Yeah.
Watch yourself. And the crowd's not happy because they're there because they want. The people in the Zoom crowd, they want Biden to go to the left. And here's Kasich, a Republican, saying, "Oh no, I know him. He's not going to go to the left. He's going to stay moderate."
I don't think he can tell the difference between his left and his right.
I agree. He's probably just sitting there. "Can I have some more applesauce? This tastes good." Joe, that's not applesauce.
Another bottle.
You're eating your
of
vomit.
Sure.
But it was not, to me, it was, how do you get enthusiastic about that crowd? The crowd at the top of the Biden Carmela Harlot ticket, they're just One angry, nasty, inexperienced person. And as Rose McGowan said, I mean, here's Joe Biden. First he was off on Biden, you know, for 47 years he's been in DC and claims that as a result, America's in horrible shape after 47 years of his work. So why do you want to, right?
All we need is more of that.
And then she went on, though, to lambaste the Democrat Party, saying, Demon Rat Party, saying, Democrats have never accomplished anything. Now that's actually unfair. During the run-up to World War II, we had a Democrat president and a lot of stuff. I mean, Democrats were in charge.
They've destroyed the greatest city in America. I
In
think
less
that's
than 9 months.
A monumental accomplishment. I don't think it's good,
Yeah.
but it's a lot to do.
So, you know, you look at that thing and there's a technical expression you learn in Harvard Business School. You know, when somebody's done a bad job with a company, you say, well, that person threw a turd in the punch bowl.
Exactly.
Right? And that's what the whole Demon Rat convention was. I mean, it was a gigantic set of turds.
Question.
Big.
When they have
Punch bowl.
Ocasio-Cortez speak, don't they want to tell her, like, hey, we're going to give you this opportunity to speak at the thing. It's going to advance your career and your clout in the thing. But you got to be on board with the team. Why would they let her go against Biden by endorsing Bernie?
It's a Big Ten school of mismanagement. I mean, these people are not competent managers. I mean, I think what you're going to see, expectations are very low for this coming Republican convention. And I bet you they're going to have a series of young people across the spectrum, white, Hispanic, black, male, female, gay, straight, you name it, but young and enthusiastic, intelligent, accomplished people standing up and saying, you know, I don't know about a 90-page platform, but I do know that in the second term of the Trump administration, we're going to get this done, this specific done. And why do I say that? Because I'm in charge of it. I'm going to get this done. You know, you're going to see a lot of competence, I think, and good management. You're going to see uplifting stuff. I mean, to go in there, I'm surprised, you know, they take the Pledge of Allegiance, they take Under God out. I'm surprised they didn't
weird, right?
Go in there with like these Marquis de Sade, however you pronounce it, outfits and whips and bulls.
Well, you
and
missed obviously the closing musical number, because that's what that was.
Right, with Nancy Pelosi and one of those
No,
ridiculous...
that dude in the weird chiffon.
Oh, right, I didn't see it. But you know, start out there and say, now let's have an invocation to commence this convocation. Repeat after me. The beatings will stop when morale improves.
Right.
Now, Joe, I want you to tell us about your tax plan. How are you going to destroy the average taxpayer? Well, that's simple. I'll quadruple their taxes. Great, Joe.
Didn't he
works.
say there is no miracle? It's like, oh, damn. He's definitely going to have the religious vote from saying stuff like that.
That's right. I mean, it really was. It's difficult for me to imagine a bunch of people come across more arrogantly, more stupidly, more incoherently than that crowd came across. They're not trying to attract voters. They're assuming they've rigged the whole deal. And I really, the people like you who are expert in evaluating media happenings, I mean, where was the show business, you know, high quality luster in any of that?
Well, that's exactly what I mean. When they had, what's her name, Whitmer from Michigan, it was like the worst possible connection to some guest with bargain internet in the middle of the jungle. And this is their person. Like, wouldn't that be checked out beforehand? Like, sometimes people get mad at me when the audio or video break up, but I can't control where some of these guests are calling from.
It happens whenever we get to this area. It happens, right?
What happens? Oh, did it cut off over here?
I don't know. I'm just saying, yeah, right around here is when it cuts off.
I don't remember, but...
But, you know, somebody remarked about Gretchen Whitmer that she wins the prize for, you know, woman most likely to look like your crazy ex-girlfriend.
Ocasio-Cortez?
No, she was the runner-up. It was Whitmer.
Oh, Whitmer. Oh, yeah, no, definitely. No, she looks like the girl that you meet, and within 5 minutes you realize she's crazy and she never gets to be your girlfriend.
That's right. I know my mother and father said you should never abandon a girl in the middle of a date, but I just won't tell them.
That's not... Wait a minute. Look at this, Charles. All these things closed.
Bad boy world. Yeah, the luggage stores. But late night with Stephen Colbert, that's still in business.
Right. So in case we do get cut off over here, I think it may have happened once during a time when the police were operating equipment around.
The police?
I hope it doesn't happen again, but if it does, the remainder of the show will be posted for sponsors to enjoy on subscribestar.com/crowdsource the truth and patreon.com.
Now, sprinkled through here, I don't know that the Mauritania is one of them, but sprinkled through here, homeless people are also stored away in hotels around here.
Well, this is slightly different in that this is not a residential neighborhood. This is a tourist neighborhood, and you might be able to make an argument that, you know, the absolute absence of business in this area, you know, this would be a better place to do a project like that than the middle of a neighborhood with little kids and all that.
Right. Well, what about the little kids who are coming here as tourists with their parents?
Well, I don't think they're here right now, I'm saying.
Right.
In other words, you know, people can choose to not be tourists right now. If you live on the Upper West Side, you can't choose so easily to not live there necessarily.
Right. Nice of that restaurant to block the street.
Totally block the street. That's the pizza place that's often featured on when it was David.
You did this on purpose.
Did what?
Going by West Side Story.
Oh, yeah. I did not realize that they had that playing here. Well, I'm sure it's not. I was saying Broadway's not opening in 2021.
Is that 21 even?
That's what I heard.
Wow. That
And
must.
the thing is, I mean, if you're an actor, I know a lot of people like move to New York to be in these shows and stuff, and like, unless you're famous, actors don't necessarily make that much money. A lot of people that I know that are actors are kind of constantly struggling and hustling and
Working in restaurants. Uh-oh.
right.
About that.
Right, so that could basically kind of ruin your career. What about, well, I mean, I guess there's no other productions going on, but, you know, people take a gig and refuse another, and it
What do you
has
think
a big
this
impact.
is?
Wow, Charles, look at how everything is closed over here.
What do you think these guys are doing?
They're the news or something, aren't they?
The non-news?
I don't know what they're doing.
But this is really empty, actually. Unbelievably empty.
That looks like they had some stand-up for a news person. And they're breaking it down.
Yeah. I mean, this is bone
Charles,
quiet.
all of this stuff.
Look at it, everything.
How's the strip club empty?
Well, I mean, it's Sunday.
It's usually jumping.
I mean, it's after church, so all the people, the
Have
ministers
they
could go
allowed
there.
strip clubs to open?
I don't know. I mean,
Is it considered an essential business?
I would have thought that strip clubs don't necessarily follow rules, right?
I don't know. Seems
Gallagher's
like a good place
bar.
to transmit a virus, though.
Yeah.
Prime virus transmission.
Yeah,
That's-
my friend down in the Bahamas was telling me that they opened it up, and all of a sudden they got massive amount of alleged COVID, and now
Really?
yeah, unemployment is over 30% in the Bahamas now. They shut it down every night. There are obviously no tourists. You know, restaurants are all shut, and it's not a rich country. It was a reasonably well-off country, but now it's a disaster. Yeah, look, people in the middle of the street.
It's really something to see, Charles, because, you know, there have been occasions where we've been through neighborhoods and it appears like, oh, maybe things are coming back a little bit,
Yeah,
but
watch it.
I don't really think so.
Yeah.
How
Another
is
McDonald's,
this
Jason.
place still in business?
Another McDonald's.
How could this possibly still be in business?
Your last chance, Jason.
Yeah, no, I'm
I'll
fine.
get you a nice quarter pounder.
Charles,
with-
seriously, look at this. Nobody in there. Every single item they sell is absolute junk.
I think these are money laundering.
I was going to
fronts.
say that. How could it possibly be in business?
You can get a Make America Great hat. They have them for sale.
The rent, what's the rent on that, Charles? That place is huge.
I have no idea.
Ground floor retail in Times Square.
50, 75 a month.
And I mean, how many of those little knickknacks you got to sell to make that?
Yeah, now here we have a nice gathering
no,
place.
46th we wanted, right?
Right, we're still not there. We're up at like 50 odd. It's like 51st here.
Right, 1630.
Here's the church.
Right, the outdoor.
Yeah. Which is
That
nice.
was a good idea of them to do, actually, because I think a lot of people want that. And it's been when they're running the congregation, it's been busy each time we've been by.
Yeah. I suppose it's nice.
I've heard a
we're
lot
50.
of stories about how office buildings are mostly empty.
Oh yeah. And think about it. Why would you go? Think about the entering class at NYU. I don't know when it would start typically, but probably 25th of August.
No, they
maybe?
said they're already back because people have to do the 14-day quarantine. So they're in the dorms.
You don't see many students in Washington Square Park.
No. Because I guess once you arrive from wherever you've come from, you've got a quarantine shelter in place for
Indoors the whole time.
right for 14 days in your own apartment. How are they dealing with the roommate thing at NYU? Housing was already super expensive. When I went to NYU, they jammed 3 of us into a room that used to be a hotel for 1.
Really?
Yeah,
That must have been nice.
bunk beds and whatnot.
Bunk beds. Wow.
Yeah.
Just a studio room, like.
There's 2 bunk beds and 3 people. Yeah, in a room the size of a hotel, with a 1 bathroom and a hotel.
Where would the third person sleep?
On one of the bunk beds. Two on one bunk bed and 1 on the other bunk bed.
Oh. All right, we're getting close. I used to like Sbarro's or
I
Sbarro's,
never.
but yeah, it was so old-fashioned Sicilian food.
Illuminated pizza.
But it's that thing. The whole chain went bankrupt.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Did they determine it was due
Why-
to the
no.
food being terrible?
Why did that enter into it? It's actually, I don't think they serve alcohol there. I think in certain
I
locations.
think they have beer. Yeah. I haven't been there in so long. I mean, that was like when I was in high school and would come to the city. They had a big one right outside Penn Station, so I'd go to it there.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's like a total airport.
Gross
place.
ostomy.
This is really pretty empty, Charles,
I think so.
for a summer weekend in Times Square.
Yeah, I wonder, checking room rates in hotels, I wonder how many hotels are actually open now in New York.
Well, I mean, we saw those ones, or I can't remember if you were with me on those walks or not, but there's several near where I live that are closed. That's an interesting angle that Cuomo's wife or sister or whoever it was is involved in placing homeless
Sister.
people.
He was too.
And then now this happens.
Right.
How is that a coincidence?
We'll have to get the name of his charity, sister's charity. There were articles written about it. I had the name written down somewhere, but I've got so many thousand pieces of paper now, I wouldn't know where I put it. Again, I'm surprised that there aren't more regular Black Lives Matter rallies than the kind that we saw 8 weeks ago. Where everyone around 4
Someone
o'clock.
suggested that it's a calculated lull so that people will stay, and then after the election they're going to hit double hard.
After the election? You mean when Trump wins?
Right.
Yeah. That's not, I think people's patience has been exhausted with this bullshit.
What does that mean?
Well, I mean, there is actual injustice, and there are unfortunate accidents. I don't see, the same level of outrage over the 7-year-old boy's killing for no apparent reason.
You mean the neighbor who just walked up and shot the kid
him
on the bicycle?
Yeah, I mean that.
Who does that?
I don't know.
Like,
And it's
what the
just,
hell could a 7-year-old?
And the looting, the coordinating. Apparently, there was a lot of looting in Denver last night. It's not
Really?
about social injustice. It's about looting.
Well, it's almost like they're going and finding the cities that people want to move to and hitting those too,
Right.
so that you just, like me, sit in New York and you're like, gee, I don't know what to do. Here,
All right,
Charles,
so-
here's another one. How the hell are these places still open? I mean, real important businesses that are selling stuff that everybody wants are closed, and this junk is open in a
Yeah.
giant real estate space?
Easy, Jason. I collect junk.
Not junk like that.
I'm saying, no, I certainly don't collect junk like that. And I don't collect junk at all. Now, I think this is the street, 46th Street. And I don't know,
Which direction?
well, it's probably,
Oh, look, Iron Man is back, as is Spider-Man. How could those guys be making any money?
what do you want to do? We can walk up to the next block that I don't think it's that way, although,
Whichever you think.
or we could just keep going down 7.
Well, let's try to see that hotel and see if more of those people are painting chalk in front of it and see if we can get some more answers.
Well, let's see, is there a policeman we could ask where the hotel is?
They're not going to talk. Let's just go this way and see
all
what's up.
Am I on the right side of you?
Sure is. Yeah, we'll put it on this side, it's easier. So we got a parked ambulance here.
Yeah, I think my brother suggested it's up this way.
That looked like a service dog, and a capable one at that.
Yeah, there's a, let's see.
So normally there's a ton of people hanging out in here, doing Instagram
Right.
photo shoots and ballet and...
And this is literally this, the center of you know, the entertainment district in New York. It's right here.
And it's dead.
It's DEA dead.
That's your majestic orbital shot, Charles.
That's right.
Look, these guys are usually not hanging out waiting for... there's nobody
They're
around.
studying for the bar exam.
Could be.
This is really pathetic, actually. The city would be in this type of condition.
How's business? No business, he
Let me ask
says.
you, where's the hotel where they're putting all the homeless people? Is it that way or that way?
No, 6th Avenue.
6th Avenue? Thank you. I don't think he understood what I was saying, but that's okay.
6th Avenue, though, he said, right?
I don't know if he understood what I was saying, but
Yeah.
there are some funny hotels in and around here.
That's what I mean. I feel like they're around here.
Yeah,
These, lower priced.
one of the movies, the only 2 movies that I was in, they shot some footage in a hotel right around here. That's where you learn how noisy it is in this area. You can tell it's noisy now, but when you, as you would know, when you're trying
to
shoot.
record audio, right?
Oh boy, TGIF.
So didn't you tell me that they're talking about stopping outdoor dining?
That Nimrod Cuomo, Governor Cuomo, the lame-o, is talking about doing that, yeah.
Why? What was the reason?
Well, because we want to crush as much business as possible and crush hope right before the election and blame it on Trump.
Right when the businesses have now spent a few $1,000s buying these tents and building all this wood stuff and saying, oh boy, this is all we can do to hold on to our last little possible chance of staying in business.
That's when you want to really
hit them again.
Crush it to its knees. You know,
oh, this looks like a beautiful restaurant right next to the garbage. Wow.
Where do you think they get the food?
Oh gosh.
It's like, you know, that Japanese place that closed near you with a fish tank where you picked your fish.
That place, went out of business.
That's the same idea. You fish your garbage.
Fish out of the garbage.
They turn your leftovers.
Is this it? Night Casa 46?
I don't know. It's right across from a something or other. What is that? Is it a police station or?
I don't know. It's got a school.
Class of 12. Oh yeah. That's that. Is it music and art or something?
Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis High School.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't even know about that.
I think it used to be called. Was it called Music and Art beforehand?
New York City Board of Education. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about that.
Well, Jason, I propose we walk down either 6th or 7th.
Yeah, I mean, we'll try to run into this thing. If we do, we'll be lucky, and if not, then okay.
See, yeah, these are nice.
Oh, wait a minute. Are we near the Ziegfeld? No, that's on 50-something, 52nd.
That looks like a collection of homeless people right there.
I agree it does. I won't point the camera at them because they're likely to become angry.
Demand royalties.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is really, I mean, pathetic. That Mayor de Blasio would, you know, even collect a paycheck is beyond me. This guy, public enemy number 1.
Well, and Cuomo's doing these press conferences every day talking about what a great job he's doing. I don't
Killing
see it.
seniors?
Yeah. The weed truck company remains a growth industry.
Well, so you gotta have room service for the homeless people.
Here's somebody's.
And how you allow, I mean, I think you should be able.
Didn't that just come up?
Yeah, it is. My brother said it's near the Marshall McLennan building. So.
It's probably down there.
Down there, okay.
And Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A, Charles, took over Blue Water Grill.
Did it really?
That space was gigantic.
Blue Water Grill was big, wasn't it?
Blue Water Grill was big, and it was there for over 20 years. That closed before the pandemic, though, probably because somebody said, hey, you're making too much money, let's raise the rent.
Whoa.
And now Chick-fil-A. It's close to the same, right?
Yeah,
Chick-fil-A.
I think where we're going to find them is in the middle of this block.
I agree with that.
I think we might want to get on
the other side, so we're not trapped under a scaffolding?
I don't think we want to be strapped under a scaffolding. Nice. Now there's a bunch of people on the sidewalk there. I don't know. Can we walk on this right here?
Yeah, this looks super dangerous, Charles.
Yeah. Well, there's police right there.
Oh, so good. They'll be able to watch as we get murdered.
Yeah.
And then ask if we called 911.
Did you? Yeah. Well, they'll say, pardon me, do you have any Grey Poupon? Yeah.
Yeah, there's something going on down here. Times Square. What does
You want
that
to
say?
get on my right-hand side?
No, I'm good.
Okay. I think that's a hotel there, the Times Square Hotel or something.
Yeah, it does say the hotel at Times Square, so it's very likely
You think that's what it is?
the spot.
Could be.
How you guys doing?
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
I think that's it.
Well, my brother was saying that they're out in some place around here. They're out in lawn chairs shooting up. Maybe it's in this park.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Maybe we shouldn't go in there.
There's no smoking in Plaza, but all the shooting
but
up you
meth is
want.
okay.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely looks not like the smartest idea to go in there.
Let's go this way.
But I mean, you don't need to be a civic engineer to know that just taking people with, drug problems and poverty and whatever problems these individuals have and sticking them in a hotel for free, how is that going to help any problem?
Yeah, it's probably
And
not.
what do you think about these restaurants that sort of started building?
Then went out of business?
Well, maybe right. Maybe they went out, or maybe they couldn't get anybody to eat there because there were, junkies and vagrants hanging around.
Probably doesn't do much business to have junkies and vagrants.
Just walking down that street, I mean, if you didn't know anything, you would be like, maybe let's find another restaurant. Right?
Pretty much.
Huh, look at this, a
This is
Brazilian restaurant.
Well, this is Brazil Row.
I didn't know about this place, though. Smells delicious.
Yeah, a lot of good Brazilian restaurants. I love Brazilian food.
Here's Chaz Palminteri's restaurant.
He's a funny
This looks
actor. Is he still
closed.
alive?
I think so. But the restaurant looks closed.
Stop off at St. Patrick's Pub and have a nice glass of Jameson if you like, Jason.
No, thanks.
Well, now we're in Fifth Avenue.
Yeah, there's another Brazilian restaurant, but it's not open.
It's very closed. Joey Bats.
I mean, when you consider the dramatic reduction of opportunity that restaurants have, I'm surprised that at this time of day, a restaurant in Midtown would be closed. That must mean that there's obviously not anybody going to it.
Oh, yeah.
And they've just determined that paying anybody to be there is more money lost.
Yeah, I mean, this is not exactly a normal area here. I mean, this is...
No, but I mean, during normal times, any restaurant around here would be open.
I don't know what's behind us here.
There would be people there.
Yeah. You done all your back-to-school shopping, Jason?
Yeah, that's what I was just noticing on the ground. Back to staying home. You want to look sharp to sit in front
That's
of your
right.
computer on Zoom or whatever.
We're the latest and greatest. You can get
Oh,
yourself.
look at that, Charles. We don't usually have,
Poochie's is open.
yeah, we don't usually have the stolen goods market up here.
I say, is that
They're
genuine?
expanding.
Can you give me a certificate of authenticity? Oh, sure.
What is this guy doing here with the basketball? Hang on, stay here for 1 second, Charles. Just let him pass. Do what he's up to. Yeah, these guys
Short
are
guy.
expanding.
They're everywhere on the floor, on the sidewalk.
That's usually not the case. And these guys are definitely a network, by the way.
They're probably all like a
Oh, they are. They are.
Senegalese tribe or something. It does wonders for property values.
Yeah. Having the criminal flea market.
Maybe we get Eric Holder to work on the rat initiative, that in order to make it more cost effective to pick up rats, we should breed them so there are more of them, so people could brag about catching more rats than just say 1,000 a day.
You can rotisserie them.
Yeah. Yeah, you could pay for the rat supply contract.
Guy's got his hands full.
He sure does. Mr. Basketball went into Walgreens.
Oh, wow. That was a lot of air conditioning blasted out of Walgreens. We're getting some radio interference here, Charles.
Yeah, we might want to.
Let's,
Maybe we should stop in Bryant Park and
yeah,
maybe
that's
end
nice.
it there.
We'll walk through Bryant Park, see what's going on over
Maybe
there.
sit there and.
This is quite conspicuous that we have so many of these stolen goods vendors here in this part of town where they're not usually seen.
Yeah. Who buys that crap
I think
anyway?
this is watches in here.
Yeah, Rolexes. Storefront's gone.
Morgan Stanley. What was normally here?
I don't know.
More Amazon food getting delivered.
Step up, genius. Next thing you're gonna have horse-drawn carts, donkeys. Some reporter, I think, one of the local news stations was killed on one of those electric young girl.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What happened?
They accelerate very quickly, and if you're not ready, you're not wearing a helmet, you can go flying. And asphalt is not very forgiving, as I learned the hard way.
It's even worse than a foot fault. I mean, that's a lot of vendors here.
Fake stuff.
So, I mean, that's the thing, Charles. These types of petty crimes are exploding. And then I've seen a lot of law enforcement experts, police union guys and ex-NYPD guys doing podcasts and things talking about how the broken windows policing was all about tending to these small crimes because it was leading them to bigger, it's sort of like mind the
Once you
mind the
tolerate
nickels and dimes and the dollars take care of themselves kind of thing.
Yeah, it's the same idea. When you tolerate, look at that garbage over there. When you tolerate people strewing garbage all over a city park, then when we boarded the subway, I don't know if you caught it on air. Let's stay in the shade. Somebody just manipulated the turnstile and got on for free.
Well, people will see that in the bonus section
That's
coming
true.
up right after the show on Patreon and Subscribestar.
Yeah.
So that guy we saw go through the turnstile, and if he's a criminal, now he's in the subway about to do crime.
Right, and it just word spreads. I mean, only the idiots pay the fare, and the criminals ride for free. And now the latest for me going into Washington Square Park is people come up to me. I'll have 2 coffees because I'll sit there for 2 hours on the phone, And they'll come, person after person will come up to me and say, "Can I share your coffee? Like, how do you think
You
about?"
should tell them, sure, I have coronavirus. Would you like some?
Yeah, we can share it. I can drink it, and you can watch me from afar. But you know, the nerve of people coming up to you and expecting you to just give them something.
Cafe COVID Vente. That's 20. How do you say 19?
I don't think you need anything to eat, man.
Hey, Jamba Juice is out of business over
Is it
there.
really? Yeah. I wonder how they're going to reopen the library, if at all.
What do you mean? How could they not?
Well, I mean, how are you going to social distance?
I don't know. They'll probably make you get a vaccine to go in there.
That's right.
They're still pushing that, by the way, and so is Trump, that you know, he's now upset that the FDA is delaying the vaccine until after.
He's making an announcement at 6 p.m. today.
Yeah, if it's got to do with, hey, the vaccine is out. I mean, look,
Let's go up this way.
if he wants to say the vaccine is out for people who want to take it.
It's about therapeutics, apparently.
Oh, well, that's interesting. That could be good.
He's blasting the FDA for taking too long. Maybe this is closed.
No, I think it looks open. Well, you know, Larry Klayman was telling me that the FDA is a very dangerous government agency because they have a lot of power over people and can, you know, make these sort of declarations along the lines of what Dersh was talking about.
Well, that's what Catherine Eban's book is all about, that the FDA...
Is that Bottle of Lies?
Bottle of Lies, very important book, that the FDA agreed foolishly, the U.S. government agreed foolishly, to give advance notice to countries that we were going to go check in India whether or not the medicines were made properly. And of course, you do that. Now, Jason, I propose that we sit down if we can possibly do that, just because it's been...
Quite a lot of walking.
Yeah. Wouldn't mind catching my breath.
Sure. Let's
Over
get
there,
someplace
say?
shady.
Down there a little bit, or over here?
Sure.
Right
Wherever you
there?
like. Yeah, that's good right there.
Is that okay?
Yep.
So
what is it that the FDA did, Charles?
So they agreed that, you know, when medicine factories in the United States, the FDA has a concern, they'll just raid them. But
Right, that's what Larry said. They could just go in without a warrant.
But to get the agreement to interact with Indian manufacturers, our FDA and maybe our State Department foolishly agreed that we would give advance notice to the Indian government.
So that they could hide the evidence?
Exactly, and manufacture whatever. And one little thing I would like to maybe get into without slides, another non-slide technical presentation, is I'd like to bring our viewers back to 2006. On May 25th, 2006, as I tweeted out, the judge threw the book in the Enron case against Jeffrey Skilling and Ken Lay. Jeffrey Skilling being the CFO.
He just got out of jail, didn't he?
He did, but Ken Lay died.
Oh, yeah.
CEO, he's still dead.
Magical heart attack.
Or the magical heart attack.
We don't know if he was ever dead, actually.
No, we know he was dead. July 5th, 2006, he died. So May 25th, 2006, the Enron case is decided against the CEO and CFO. Now, the sad thing about Enron is that was a bipartisan scandal. That
Bush's.
And Bush, Bush's in Texas, but also Clinton, had some senior people who were in on the idea of trying to do deals in India with Enron. I mean, the downfall of Enron really started in a deal in India that went exactly the wrong way. And anyway, so the 25th of May, basta for the CEO and CFO of Enron, and potential large exposures for Bush politically, because the Democrat machine was going to spin, you know, that Bush was in on the fraud, that Enron executives contributed to the Bush campaign, that it was a Texas-based thing. So they had cover, therefore, June 9th, 2006, so about less than 2 weeks later, the atrocious, despicable Little Rock office of BKD issues an audit opinion addressed to the board of directors of William J. Clinton Foundation, Inc. period. Now,
Not a real thing.
Not a real thing at all. The thing was not called William J. Clinton Foundation, Inc., and it didn't have directors. It had trustees. They had not changed their articles of incorporation or bylaws or anything. Now, the cover letter, an opinion letter, which is what an accountant is required to give to comply with Arkansas law, but more importantly with New York and California law by 2006. And remember, Hillary is representing New York as a senior citizen.
Right.
And remember, I haven't actually made this point.
Senior citizen?
Senior senator or junior senator. But remember, I haven't made the point exactly this way, but you know, if the purpose of your foundation is to keep the books and records of an entire 8 years of a presidency, you would sort of expect, I mean, call me silly, call me picky, but you might expect the trustees of the foundation to keep their own books and records properly if they're going to keep all the books and records of a presidency, which has got to be a lot of books and records. So for the first time ever, they make an attempt to issue an audit that complies with U.S. generally accepted accounting.
What year was that?
That was June 9th, 2006. Now the entity had
9 years after it was created?
Yeah, of course. You know, they'll
get around to it.
You know, 10 years before the mast. Whatever, we'll get to it.
Sometime before the rapture.
Yeah, exactly. Forgive the sirens, they're coming from Biden.
Is that fire department?
I think it's a fire department ambulance. Yeah, it just passed behind you. So, the way these audits work is there's a fancy letter from this firm, BKD LLP, which says, you know, we have audited the foundation, right? It says we've done it. We've used the purpose of an audit is to make sure that the financial statements are free of what are called material misstatements. What that means are errors.
Yes.
Just like boo-boos, mistakes, like
wrong addition.
And typically you have the accounting standards are set up when done properly. You have what's called a statement of activities, which is like an income statement. You have a statement of financial position, which measures your net worth at the beginning and the end of a period. And then you have the statement of cash flows, which tracks not your profit and revenue, but the cash as it flows through the years. And all of these numbers need to sync up. You know, somebody with my kind of training and a limited amount of finance training, you know, not even as much experience as I have, can look at any set of activities, financial position, and cash flows, and if in one place you say capital expenditures, net of depreciation, were $16 million, and in another place you say it's 11,
that seems
that's
like
a material misstatement.
Discrepancy.
Yeah, and that doesn't work, right? So they write this letter for all to see on June 9th, 2006, saying, we've done an audit, they're free of material misstatements, and here's the proof. And you look through the proof, and it's riddled with material misstatements, right? Now this is June 9th, 2006 for 2005 and 2004. Typically what you do is you do your audit at the same time that you put in, typically on the same date that you put in your tax filings, because the auditors want to check and make sure, the people doing the financial audit need to check and make sure that the tax filings are the same and vice versa. And it's good practice to have two separate firms do it. You don't want to have the same firm do
checking itself.
Right. So in this case, they had the same firm of dunderheads, BKD LLP, produce the 990, the tax forms, after the audit. And the audit name that they used was William J. Clinton Foundation, Inc. The name they used for the in the 990 is William J. Clinton. The revenues in one case, William J. Clinton Foundation, are like 97 million in the audit, and the donations and grants are 97, forgetting the other income, and the donations and grants in the tax form are 80 million. And you look at gigantic errors.
But Charles, if I might interject, in my experience, accountants are usually sticklers for stuff like that, and huge errors are really unlikely.
Frowned upon.
Yeah.
Right. And so anyway, this is just utter.
But I mean, isn't that in and of itself suggestive that it's not actually an error?
It's certainly not an error. So they were told, you know, look, you're going to dial it in. Hillary's going to be president of the United States. We're going to take this Clinton Global Initiative. We're going to make it gigantic. It's going to be an annual deal confab. You can go and send your BKD boneheads.
That was the thing in Hong Kong?
Well, there was one in Hong Kong in 2008, but every year in New York starting in 2005. You can hobnob.
We should go to that.
You can't. You have to be invited, and we definitely will not be invited to that. But anyway,
I know Angel Urena's phone number. I could call him.
Hey, Mr. Fruithead. But anyway, So you look at this, and it's just obviously in error, not in compliance with even Arkansas law, which is pretty lenient, certainly not in compliance with New York law or California law, where they raised a lot of their money. And now you got this campaign going on in 2006. You have a breathless Fortune magazine article in September of 2006, probably actually finished by August 2006, extolling the virtues of the Clinton Foundation. It's a new form of capitalism.
Isn't Fortune the same magazine that had dirty money?
Exactly, dirty medicine, yeah.
Dirty
exactly.
medicine.
Yeah. So they could get things right and they can get things wrong. But anyway, they had this great thing promoting Bill Clinton's foundation and by implication Hillary Clinton's re-election campaign. They're also at the same time, according to Catherine Ebant's book and another book by Philippe Douste-Blazy called The Power of Numbers, and it's all about the creation of Unitate. Exactly in the same time where they're lying to the BKD auditors, and BKD is lying to the public and lying to the IRS, the Clinton Foundation, through agents, is lying to Unitate, is lying to the World Health Organization. The people at the Unitate and World Health Organization are in turn lying to the governments of France, Norway, Spain, Korea, Chile, and the UK to put together this thing, which comes together September 19th, 2006. In November, Hillary's reelected, but the most important thing, and this is the pièce de résistance, where we're going to talk about the nipple ring idiot governor. He is running for Attorney General of the state of New York.
Right.
On the same.
And he won.
And he wins. And so he becomes Attorney General on January 1st, 2007.
Under Spitzer.
Under Spitzer, which is a dangerous place to be.
Unless you're paid by the hour
Right.
on a credit card.
Right. Yeah. But anyway, he's Attorney General. I bring that up to contrast Tish James, who goes after Bannon as Attorney General, Tish James, who goes after Trump Foundation, Tish James, who goes after the National Rifle Association. We see the power that an Attorney General has in New York when they want to prosecute charity fraud. And now we see what, Cuomo had to have been aware of this charity fraud. I mean, it's obvious. There are no audits. There's no registration forms. There's no, the required filings are not there even now on the website in New York State. While he was there, there's even when you punch in for one of the years, I forget whether it was 5 or 6, in handwriting, somebody's written no char, which is the form is called CHAR, no char. There's supposed to be one, and if there isn't one, you're not in compliance with New York law. I mean, you're not allowed to operate, but you're the Clintons. So you look at this file in New York, you look at the file in California, you look carefully at the laws, which are much tougher on the books than the regulations. The Arkansas law is sort of vague, maybe by design. You're supposed to keep proper books and records. Now, if you're Bill Clinton, you're gonna debate the meaning of the word "is."
I was busy at the IMAX movie.
Yeah, I did not have sexual relations with her, but she did with me. That kind of stuff. I mean, if you're gonna have that kind of a person, you need New York State regulations.
Hair-splitting nicety.
That's right. Bill's very good with those poll workers, according to Hillary. But so you look at this file, and it's crystal clear that the Clinton Foundation is a textbook case in the billions of dollars of mega fraud. Not just in, nobody yet has, with the kind of force that Roger Stone was asked questions, of course he was asked questions, has taken these people to task and said, look, you had a public release that said this project was going to cost $100 million. Normally, an auditing firm hires a valuation expert to tell you what the opening value of a building is, not just because you paid X on a construction project. Is it worth X? You've got to get somebody to say, really, you paid $100 million and it's worth $75 million, or it's worth $120. None of that work ever done. And then when you peel apart, as I have done and am doing with experts in a memo that will be released before September 30th in depth, this memo just takes this BKD work product and tears it to smithereens. It is possible to just take their work without access to the internal books and records of the Clinton Foundation and say, well, okay, you're saying this is true. Let me take your work and say, if this is true, then this can't be true. That's in your, and then if that isn't true, let's unwind all the things that are wrong. And now let's show you what really happened according to your own estimates to the Clinton Foundation. And what you see is that in 2006, BKD was either directing or complicit in a fraudulent scheme to obscure the fact that the Clinton Foundation stole $65 million approximately from the books and records, the known books and records of the Clinton Foundation, by a combination of accounting fraud and bank fraud. They borrowed money, $28.5 million they didn't need, and they mischaracterized, one sec, another fire department ambulance. They mischaracterized something as being a cash expense, i.e. you pay for something with cash, when it really wasn't a cash expense. It was a $36 million error. And that alone,
What did you spend $36 million in cash on?
Well, if you say that Jason Goodman writes a check for $36 million to NYU to create the Goodman, professorship of 3D whatever, and it's out of your checking account, that's a cash. If on the other hand, what you do is you give stock, appreciated stock, that's non-cash. It's not the same as writing from your checkbook. Or in the case of depreciation, if you say that depreciation is a cost of your business, i.e. the erosion 1 year value of your building, that's not a cash expense. They treated a non-cash item as a cash expense, and therefore,
You want to walk?
I want to just quiet down
because we're getting blasted now by the sun.
Okay, all right.
Just worried this thing's going to get heated up.
Okay.
So we'll just keep talking and move
So,
to the next seated spot.
Good. So, what happened in this time frame is that there was a man named John Glasgow. We talked about him. He was the chief financial officer of the contracting firm, the prime contractor on the Clinton Foundation complex in Little Rock. And he was very much alive in 2006. And in 2006 would have been an important party to any discussion about how much was really spent, what was the true cost of the Clinton Foundation complex, a subject that would be, monthly, if not more frequent than that, bills back and forth from the prime contractor to the foundation.
Well, he was the CFO of the contractor as well.
Right. So he would have been very much, if there were a billing dispute, if the Clinton Foundation were trying to say that the complex cost a lot more than it really cost and then steal money, he would be on point. And he would be the one who'd be looking through all this stuff. Now, we know there was I forget if it was a Frontline documentary, but something like that on this subject. I mean, this is not, well, that's tough for any one of those, or?
Yeah, any of these.
He would know, is this too bright?
Nope, it's fine.
Maybe
So
all the way down there?
Sure.
He would be well aware of the condition of any dispute. I mean, this is the largest construction project in Little Rock at the time. And here the Clinton Foundation is trying to claim that they spent $165 million. I think the real number on the complex for getting the land is more like $75 to $80 million. So he would have been part and parcel to any discussion of trying to resolve a dispute. And they slammed these statements out June 9th, 2006, with regard to 2005 and 2004. They were littered with material misstatements, even though BKD, the ignorant accounting firm that was, if not crooked accounting firm that was on the case, says everything's hunky-dory. And then there's a continuing saga. You've got to put financial statements out for 6 and 5. And while under New York law, those statements have to be finished by November 15th of the following year, they don't put financial statements together, BKD, for 2006 and 5 until January, I think, 8th or 9th, 2008. So they were due November 15th.
Charles.
Yeah, we got shit to do, man.
We got stuff to do.
Right. And so John Glasgow is still alive at this point, but in the interim, one of the principals at the contracting firm has died unexpectedly, and they're trying to figure out how to exercise whether to buy or sell the 50% interest that each side owns in this joint venture. And so clearly the value of the business will be dependent upon, in part, how much the Clinton Foundation project actually was billed for, what the profit was at the contracting firm. And there are accounts in the press and elsewhere of violent disagreements where John Glasgow was apparently shouting back and forth at senior people that something was off in the numbers and whatever. And then late in January, this is a guy who was young, he was financially independent, he was happily married, he had no other signs of distress in his personal or financial life. He just walks out the door one morning and disappears.
It wasn't even found for like 8 years.
Until 2015, right before Hillary announced for being President of the United States.
His skull was found.
Right, and with an antique rifle, Vince Foster style, antique pistol in a park, a state park. And I submit to you that this is a case, the Clinton Foundation case, and the bodies around it cannot be prosecuted from Arkansas. It has to be prosecuted by people who have nothing, who cannot be obstructed or intimidated inside the state of Arkansas, and it ideally can't even be prosecuted by people in Washington D.C. or New York State, people in
too influenced by the Clintons already.
Right. It has to be. You take, I don't know who is the the equivalent
Idaho or something.
Yeah, walking tall person who. I mean, they tried Huber and he turned out to be ineffective, if not corrupt. I mean, you need a team of invincible people to look at all the facets of this case, expose it for the fraud, the disgusting fraud and corrupt money laundering enterprise that it's been since day one, hold people accountable. I mean, you can't have the lesson that a president is basically going to know going into being the president.
Whatever he does after this is
that he keeps the
untouchable.
control. It's like saying to a kid who's cheated all the way through high school, when you get to college, don't worry. You're going to grade your own papers.
Right.
You're going to grade the entire class's papers. You're going to keep control of all these papers. You're going to have leverage over the professors. You can decide how much the professors make afterwards.
Wow.
And by the way, you can sell your papers. We'll get a corrupt publisher over here to pay you $65 million for a book you're not even going to write, Barack Obama, or $15 million in the case of Bill Clinton. I mean, this whole system of saying on the face that a foundation that is unable to keep its own books and records properly should be entrusted with the right to keep all the books and records of a presidency under the control of political partisans who are going to milk the Clinton presidency for the Clinton benefit and for the benefit of people around the Clintons. That, you mark that business template up, you say, okay, works for the Clintons, W. Bush, you're on deck, now Barack, baby, it's all yours, let's position it for Hillary. This whole thing has to be unwound. We've got debts to pay. We've got trillions and trillions of dollars of debt that have been run up. In fairness to Bill Clinton, he did a decent job actually bringing the debt down and actually a budget surplus. But from 2001 forward, W. Bush with the wars to and the financial mismanagement of Wall Street, to Barack Obama with a devil-may-care deficit approach, and now to Donald Trump. I mean, we're not printing real Benjamins.
No.
Here for everybody. We're burning Benjamins. And we've got to get those Benjamins back. We got to go to the Clintons. We got to go to the Bushes. We got to go hard to encourage Donald Trump to drain the swamp prior to, at least give us some tangible scalps before November 3rd, 2020. We can't have, I said I was going to do it in 2015-16. That was, lock her up and all that was really a very big piece of the successful 2016. And nobody's locked up. The only people who are locked up are, Bannon briefly, and Manafort, and,
Oh, Charles, what do you think about this, that we saw so much video of Bannon getting perp walked, arrested, the boat he was on, coming out of the courthouse, and still all we've seen are these pastel and crayon drawings of Ghislaine Maxwell?
Yeah, it's totally fair.
Why didn't they have her arraigned? She's on video, and Bannon comes in person.
You think there's a double standard in
Same
justice?
courthouse and actually
Right.
a less bad crime by Bannon.
Oh, Jason, you and I, we just spend so much time quibbling. We're not with the program. We're never going to get our Emmys.
Yeah, I the one thing I would do with an Emmy if I had it.
That's right. Toilet paper.
No, well, you're close, but
Bong?
for somebody else, no. I don't want to say it, but
Right.
maybe let's take a walk, Charles, and
Sure.
if you're ready.
Yeah,
and
I'm
we'll
ready. I just wanted to
continue.
catch my breath.
Yeah, no, I understand. It's a lot of walking around, and it's kind of a hot.
Yeah, all these people social distancing. It's nice to see.
I'm glad
no.
to see them not social distancing. I think it's somehow proving to people in their minds that the concept is
Bogusing. But
Well-
this park actually, this park was boarded up in the 80s and 90s, I believe.
it's very nice now.
And it's pretty nice, yeah.
You and I have
For
been on
now.
kind of a park tour today.
That's right.
It's nice for people to see.
Right.
Wow, this is a brave guy. We have a one-legged rollerblader over here.
That's a dangerous thing to contemplate. How do you stop?
I don't know. See a lot of interesting things in New York.
Yeah. Boy, oh boy.
That's the Instagram photo session, undoubtedly. Listen, I like seeing people having a nice time in the summertime. It's that's part of what they don't want.
Kind of like this guy, zonked out.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it happens. They didn't do the movies in the park this year.
But I'm sure they paid extra for him.
Well, you know, normally they have that movie theater
yeah.
screen set up here. Now, did they change something about this? Was this round part always here?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess the movie theater screen is further that
No,
way.
it's right here. It's they put it like either
Right
in front of
the
this, in
fountain.
front of the fountain, yeah. And they've had disturbing videos about homeless people going into the Whole Foods place before
They
pandemic.
closed that, Whole Foods.
Did they? And
It's just a distribution place for ordering stuff. You can't go in there. I mean, it's filled with food and guys on Amazon bikes, but you can't go in there to buy stuff. See all the tents in front? They're prepping food there.
but it used to be, you know, the homeless guys would go in there and they just go to the
Smorgasbord?
just smorgasbord away.
Yep.
Again, I mean, the problem with the way we're dealing with this city is that the second you say we have a benefit for homeless people of X, homeless people from outside the city come into the city.
Well, but the other problem is just providing a benefit doesn't seem like a solution to a problem.
Right, exactly.
Giving somebody a free hotel room doesn't address the root of the problem. If the problem is a health problem, a mental health problem, an inability to find work problem, a drug problem.
You want to get on 6th or 7th?
Let's go this way,
All right.
just to avoid radio.
Okay.
So that section of 7th Avenue definitely will cut it out.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm very sympathetic to people.
Here's WeWork trying to do something. I hate that.
I'm very sympathetic to people who have mental illness because that of all of them, that's one of the toughest to actually diagnose and treat, because you're relying many times on people telling you what they're experiencing, and if they're truly, you know, got problems, they're likely not going to tell you the truth or what is the truth.
Well, I would also argue that of all Western medicine, the brain is the least well understood. Like if you have a terrible disaster with your heart, they have some pretty well advanced surgeries they can do to keep you alive for 20 additional years. The brain is still not that well understood.
And you've got, well, I think there is one actual thing about brain problems is it's pretty easy to identify people who have them. Right? All the people who are steadfastly in support of Joe Biden.
Exactly.
And his middle name, is it something like Robinette or something?
Yes, Robinette. Like, what is that? Sounds like some backup singer for Robin. Who is that?
Junior he is too, right? He's Joseph Robinette Biden Jr.
I didn't know that.
I know, honey. This man one day will grow up to work on Amtrak. Or something to do with Amtrak.
No, well, I was going to say it would be a good opportunity to get his dad and have him be the nominee.
It probably
That'd be
is
like
his
the
dad.
Seinfeld episode.
Yeah, it probably is his dad.
Oh, now let's address, if you are prepared to, this thing with Hunter Biden looking very unusual in his video appearance on the virtual DNC. The thing, I mean, people will call this crazy, Charles, but I think everybody has seen this technology, this deep fake technology where they can, you know, take. Friend of mine in LA, people should check him out. I think he's on Instagram mostly, not Tom Cruise. And he's a guy who, like, his career was he's a Tom Cruise impersonator. And I mean, he's been all over the world. They fly him to things in Australia and whatever to do corporate events and whatever. He does a great, he's an actor and he does a great Tom Cruise impersonation. He puts on a wig and the sunglasses and he looks a lot like Tom Cruise and acts and talks like Tom Cruise. So one of these visual effects companies in LA that was doing stuff with deep fake Tom Cruise onto him, and now it's like you can't tell it's not Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
So the question is, if they did something like that, got a Joe Biden impersonator, got a Hunter Biden impersonator.
Well, remember Hillary Clinton after the Benghazi fall? That person, it couldn't possibly have been Hillary
That's
Clinton.
right. There's a lot of people who say they use doppelgangers, and if it's virtual on TV, and then they tell all the reporters, hey, look over there, run outside. And they do that, maybe there's some shenanigans up.
Well, that's a
That
pity.
looks like a whole building vacant.
That used to be a really nice Japanese restaurant right there on the corner.
I mean, you know, that's what's going on.
Boy, you'd think, it doesn't tossed salad mean vomit?
tossed salad in prison is something that you don't want to get involved with.
All right.
There's some people who I would like to see in prison who could be tossing salads. They might like it though.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting close to the end of our journey, Charles.
Yes,
Oh, we have a very exciting guest for Wednesday. We're not going to reveal.
Right.
But that's becoming also a very interesting show in its own right now that we have so many cool guests coming to us.
That's good. You see, here's that symbol.
I've seen it around a few times in a few places. We still don't really know what it means. Something with Minnesota and anarchy. Laura Ingraham, when you get on YouTube and you watch one Laura Ingraham video, it starts feeding you a lot.
Right.
So she went to Minneapolis and was touring the businesses that were burned up with some of the business owners. And I mean, there's something like $500 million worth of damage. But that's a small city. Like that's $500 million worth of damage in that city sounds like most of the place.
No, it's a pretty big place. There's some General Foods is there. St. Paul, 3M is in St. Paul.
500 million is a lot though. All the small businesses were destroyed.
St. Paul, 3M's market value is about $100 billion. But,
are they selling napalm to people? Oh, that's Dow.
That's Dow.
Sorry.
3M's a good company.
I got no beef with 3M.
God, the beef company's out of business. Beef company.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, that's another place that sells stuff that nobody actually...
I think for costume jewelry, people...
Right, but I mean, it's not essential by any means, and I guess if people are... nobody's buying beads, or that place would still be there.
There's a well-adjusted person. I think I've seen this person around before.
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton.
Definitely a lot of health problems there, but just sticking that woman in a hotel would not help her. She needs hospitalization and probably long-term treatment.
And a change in her diet.
See, that's the problem, is that 20-whatever-year-old guy who wants to stand out there and tell me that I'm a troll, he has no plan for anything. And doing... Something just happened with the sound.
This is about where we got hacked off before.
Yeah, hang on, the sound stopped. Okay, I think we're back. Yeah, we're back. So Charles, I mean, don't you think it's possible that if those guys are engaged in an activity that's going to chase everybody out of the neighborhood, that eventually that could actually be more detrimental to the homeless population? This is just like a temporary measure to give them a nice place to stay for now.
Of course. It's, who knows, they could have a plan to like try to destroy the whole block, put up a 100-story skyscraper eventually, and super expensive condos.
Sorry, Charles, hang on, something's wrong still. I don't know what's going on. This is a new type of problem.
We should walk a bit forward just to get out.
Sure. I think I had you back. 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 I think I had you. It's going totally nuts now, Charles.
It's all right. Keep walking to get out of it. I remember this as being an area where, for some reason, a similar thing happened before.
Sorry. Sunglasses make it harder to see the screen. I think it should be back.
Good.
Maybe the battery's on. Oh, I see what happened. Somehow I bumped this. Okay, now I think we're good. Feeling all right?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so this is normally a pretty nice food court in here, but no longer.
Oh, yeah.
What else did we want to discuss?
Well, we've got the week ahead. We've got the Trump convention. You're mentioning we're going to have a special guest on Wednesday if everything comes together. And we've got about, I think, 3, 7, we've got about 10 or 11 days, depending on how you count it, until the start of the unofficial 60-day rule. Now, going back to that 60-day rule, it actually started in 2004, 60 days before the November 2004 election, which happens to be exactly when an investigation was maturing into the Clinton Foundation. We know this from the FBI vault.
Right.
Where the line agents wanted to go, but Bill had a heart attack right around September 1st, or thereabouts.
What year did he have the heart attack?
2004 was the first time. And so they let him off the hook. And that's this rule has its genesis.
He's famous. He's doing all that.
I thought Bush.
What?
Bush created it, I thought.
That's what I'm saying, 2004. Right? But he created it over the Clinton Foundation investigation.
What?
I think, in part, or at least it affected the Clinton Foundation investigation in 4.
What exactly is the 60-day rule? You're not allowed to do what?
You're not supposed to do an election-influencing prosecutorial move in that 60-day window is the unofficial rule, which benefited the Clintons and the Bushes, frankly, in 2004.
Why not do away with that?
I think we should. It's not a law. It's an unofficial practice, which has benefited the swamp, and indeed it has engendered the swamp, made the swamp bigger and bigger.
Right.
So I think Trump needs to call bullshit on the 60-day rule.
Right.
And we have a back and forth over whether Brennan's sit down on Friday at the CIA for 8 hours signals that Barr is not going to do anything through Durham against the CIA and other swamp creatures.
Well, let's clarify this for a second, because a alleged former CIA something or other, who people might have seen me do a lot of shows with in the past, was tweeting about this, saying that aides...
Brennan.
We're having more sound problems,
Yeah,
Charles.
it's right here. It's right in this area where we had it before.
Something about Brennan.
Yeah, an aide to Brennan said that Brennan was after the thing, was not a target, not a subject. But nobody from Durham has said anything like that, or Justice Department. And we know, Brennan is the one who on CNN and MSNBC and multiple other platforms called Trump a traitor. Right. And a Russian agent right through and after the Mueller investigation. So we know that, Brennan's word is about as reliable as Benedict Arnold's words. And I'm of two minds. I mean, one mind is, having myself sat through about an hour and a half of 2 FBI agents asking me questions, I could say that 8 hours of questioning, even if it's from, people allegedly not being as tough as they might be, 8 hours is a long time to spend.
Turn up something, right?
Yeah, and the fact they're doing it at the CIA headquarters, I can't imagine doing that other than for the reason that they're asking questions about classified material that's lodged in the CIA.
That's why you're supposed to not skateboard on the sidewalk.
Right. Well, here's some Biden supporters trying to get here early for the convention.
Very frustrating with the sound. Okay.
So, some believe that a perjury trap was set for Brennan and he likely failed it. And others are saying that they're disappointed that Durham isn't really serious. And I guess the proof will be in the pudding, whether it's served, whether we eat it, you know, whether it really does what it should do. Because we know enough from the public record that the Clinton Foundation investigations were impeded from 1 through 5. I just need to catch my breath here for a second.
Sure. We can stop
Yeah.
a period of time. You know, the proof in the pudding, Charles, I'm surprised there hasn't been more. This doesn't want to work anymore.
Why do we?
I think we might be close to the end here, yeah.
All right.
All right, very well. That was an excellent episode today, Charles.
Good. More to come on Wednesday.
Yes, and thanks everybody for watching. I want to make sure that people know we're going to have a little special segment of our journey up there on the subway for sponsors, people who are sponsors of Crowdsource the Truth on subscribestar.com/crowdsource the truth and patreon.com/crowdsource the truth. Thanks to everybody who makes the show possible. Charles, thanks to you for weathering that difficult walk. It was quite lengthy. And going to be also exploring some more the Television Academy, this strike that they've leveled. This thing is running out of battery too, so it's a perfect time to end. We're talking more about the Television Academy, the cowardice displayed in this type of attack, and exploring the reasons why it might have been done. Could be a coincidence. Could be that this guy's just protecting his copyright by issuing incorrect claims. But we'll see everybody later. Thanks for watching.